Hello and welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host today, Ryan Bigelow, the Library Director at the Cottonwood Public Library. And today we are very pleased to have Corey Christians along with us. Corey is the County Librarian for Yavapai County. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity to get you from over the other side of the mountain, talk about some of our services, some of the things that we do, some of the ways that we collaborate, and we're on the same team here. This is a great system that we have. I love being a part of the Yavapai Library Network. I love the Yavapai County Free Library District. So Corey, we're just talking, maybe not everybody knows what those are. What is the Yavapai County Free Library District?
Well, the Library District was formed in 1987 by the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors, and at that time the Arizona legislature just passed a law that said counties could form library districts. So all the municipalities, interested parties got together, and they eventually came up with what's now the library district. The Board of Supervisors voted, and once that happened and it became a thing, they're the board of directors for the library district also. So we support mainly the public libraries in Yavapai County, but we also support the Yavapai Library Network, which is a consortium of 53 libraries throughout the county, which is public, academic, K-12, special. Just about every library is a part of it. So we do a lot for the libraries.
It's an amazing network. So what exactly, when you say support, what exactly are you doing in support of these consortiums and these libraries?
Well, part of what we do specifically for the public libraries is give them monetary contributions. So these are direct funding, direct funds that we give to public libraries. So for instance, I think Cottonwood got around $160,000 last year from the library district. The city of Prescott gets around $600,000. Prescott Valley got around $300,000. So every municipal public library gets some funds based on a variety of factors like assessed value, how many people use the library, population, that sort of thing.
Right. So you are now the county librarian, but has that always been your role within this organization? What else have you been doing?
No, it wasn't. I was appointed in 2017 by the Board of Supervisors to run the library district. Before that, I was library network manager, a role which Valerie Burns now holds. So that was very rewarding. I was very fortunate to have started that in 2002. So at the time, I was just 24, 25 years old.
Well, you were 12, weren't you?
Yeah, I get that a lot. I did get it. That's why I grew my COVID beard, right? So yeah, I started in 2002 and started running that. We've done software migrations, we've done implemented new services, got new members on board. It was very exciting, a lot of fun, and I was very fortunate to have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So the Yavapai Library Network, I always tell folks, one of the benefits is that if our library, the Cottonwood Public Library, doesn't have the book, odds are somebody in our network will, and it won't take very long to get here. Can you talk about like the shared services, the shared resources that we have, and how that came to be? Absolutely.
That actually happened way before I was on board.
Okay.
So the library network itself actually predates the library district.
Okay.
So it was originally set up between the city of Prescott and Yavapai College, and then later Prescott High School came on board, and these libraries just kept joining. And the main reason for that was to save money. I mean, we all use an integrated library system. It's what allows us to check in and out books. That system by itself costs about $150,000 a year.
Right.
So if you're a single library, I mean, do you really have $150,000 a year to pay for this automated system? So everybody working together, all of a sudden we could afford a world-class enterprise integrated library system to help move these items back and forth between libraries. So, and to answer that question, one of the things the library district does is we operate a courier service to get books between all the libraries in the county. And we move about pre-COVID, about 320,000 items through that courier system each year. So when a Cottonwood patron places a hold on an item that's maybe at the Ash Fork Public Library, It goes from Ash Fork to our central sorting facility in Prescott, and then to Cottonwood, and all that can happen, if the timing is right, within a 24-hour period.
Right, right. Well, it's a tremendous benefit for everybody in our county. But you mentioned like Ashford. There are, I think, 14 like smaller rural public libraries. Talk about those public libraries and what those libraries mean to their community individually.
Absolutely, yeah, sure. The library district itself operates 15 branches.
Okay.
2 of them are in municipal areas, which is Dewey, Humboldt, and Clarkdale. And we have agreements with them on how all that works, so we operate it on their behalf. But in these rural areas where you have libraries, it's often the only civic resource they have in that community. Mm-hmm. And they're so popular in those rural communities that oftentimes they will actually have more patrons using the library than are actually in the community itself. So to give you an idea of that, Ash Fork has about a population of 800, mm-hmm. and there are 1,000 patrons that use that library regularly because they come in from all the outlying areas. So we have meeting rooms, we have obviously books, DVDs, video games, that sort of stuff that they can use. We also have a notary. So if they need something notarized, they don't have to drive 2 hours into Prescott or Chino Valley or Cottonwood mm-hmm. to get that notarized. They can have it done at their local library. It's a place where they can communicate as well with each other. They can use computers, use internet. And it's the only place in that there's no Starbucks.
Right.
You want to use internet, you go to the library. That's it.
And that's I love that you said that. I love that that's part of the model here, because I think about what would that library look like if it wasn't part of a network, right? What kind of resources would they actually have? They have access to hundreds of thousands of materials now, books, magazines, DVDs, all of that.
Yep.
That library individually out by itself has, just a microscopic percentage of what they have available now because of this network. So I love that we share with everybody in this county, and that it's such a great feeling to know that we're a part of that and that we're helping literally everybody, and even in these small remote communities. So it often makes me wonder, though, is there another model, or is Yavapai County the only one in the state doing this? Are there other counties that have these awesome networks and do all this sharing?
Certainly nowhere on the same scale that we do it. I mean, you consider the size of Yavapai County, and I mean population, not just geography.
Sure.
But 53 libraries, all working together, school libraries, college libraries, university libraries, private school libraries. We have the Orem School, private school.
Right.
I mean, all these entities working together to share materials exists nowhere else in this state. Now, there are some places that kind of have miniature versions of it. Well, they'll have a school here or there that cooperates with the library district. Yuma has that, for example. Coconino does a little bit of that, but nothing on the scale that we do it.
It's a wonderful service, and I'm really glad you're here to talk about it. I have so much pride and so happy to be a part of we're a small piece of the puzzle, but I mean, just this network and how we collaborate it's a really great service. So when we come back, Corey, we're going to talk a little bit about late fees. Cottonwood just was able to eliminate our late fees. You've been in the business a little bit longer than I have, and maybe you can give us a little bit of history. So follow us. We'll be right back. More Inside Cottonwood with Corey Christians just after this.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction. A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.org.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I am your host, Ryan Bigelow, Library Director for the Cottonwood Public Library. And again, our guest today is Corey Christians, the County Librarian for Yavapai County. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And so the Cottonwood Public Library recently had the opportunity to eliminate our late fees. This was something that went through City Council. They voted unanimously to allow this to happen. But I've been having to have this conversation with a lot of folks recently as to, well, wait a minute, if there's no late fees, then how does your library operate? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with late fees and what their intent is and why we don't necessarily need them?
Well, I think when it comes to late fees, one of the most important things to remember is that for the most part, people don't mean to have their item be returned late.
Right.
They forget, it's stuck between the seat of the car when they return their other items. Their kids said they returned it when they didn't actually return it. I mean, these kind of things are usually just, good faith mistakes that kind of happen. And in the past in libraries, there's been this kind of gatekeeper, punitive kind of mentality where we are the control, we control all the information, we decide who gets what, we decide when that comes back. And to a certain degree, that's true, and that's maintained. But no doubt, with the advent of the internet and other things, people can go to a lot of places to get information. And where they go for that information is not always the best source. So what we want to try to do is make sure that people have as much access to our information as possible. So if you accrue a $10 late fee, that may prevent you from wanting to actually come into the library and check out more information. Get up-to-date, accurate information that's actually been selected by information professionals. So it's much better to have somebody to waive that late fee, have them come in and get the information, and then just remember next time, oh yeah, I got to get that back in on time. And there is one important part of this conversation, is that when you eliminate late fees, it doesn't mean if they don't return the item, you're not charging them. They will usually have a fee associated, what we call a processing fee. I'm not sure if Cottonwood does that, but many libraries do. And we also charge them for the item itself. So they're not totally getting away scot-free if they decide to, in essence, keep the item. But we do want to try to remove as many barriers as possible to them getting to that information.
Oftentimes when I've had this conversation, somebody will say, well, what happens if they steal it? I remind folks, well, it was free in the first place, so there's not really a lot of incentive to steal it because they could just come back and check it out again. So theft isn't really one of our primary concerns. It is just that accidental, oh, I forgot, but then as that accumulates and as that adds up, we have thousands of folks at the Cottonwood Public Library who are unable to use the library because of their fees. They just weren't able to use it. So we wanted to say, and I see the graphic, it just says welcome back. We want to welcome you back. You tried, some things happen. We want to make sure that we're your resource. We were your resource at one point. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Let's come back. Let's try this again, and let's do it better this time. So we're really happy to be able to do that. Now, we're not the only library in the Yavapai Library Network that does this, right? There's plenty of other libraries that don't have late fees.
Oh yeah, all of our 15 libraries don't have late fees, and like I said, we do that intentionally. We really embrace a customer service model. I mean, these are our customers, right? We want to do our best to try to make them happy, to try to make sure that they can continue using our service. And of course, we do realize that when people don't return items, it does impact patrons down the line. But and I think that's another thing that's different today than say 20 or 30 years ago. The number of different means we have to get information to patrons. So we send text messages, we send emails, we can send paper notices. All of these different methods tell them almost in real time, hey, don't forget, you have that item that's due back today. And they can think about it right before they're leaving to work, grab that item, and those methods were not available. You'd have to wait for your paper notice to come.
Well, it's also nice being a part of the network too, because if I live in Cottonwood but I work in Sedona and maybe I have to drive by the Sedona Public Library, I can just return my item there. It'll get back. We're networked that way too. So there's just so many benefits to doing it this way. So how long have your libraries not had late fees? Has this been forever, a couple years?
Well, the library district is a little different in kind of how it was formed. We had a lot of our current branches used to be nonprofits.
Oh, okay.
That kind of could no longer afford to keep it running, so the library district started slowly running those libraries once they folded shop, so to speak. So I'm sure some of those, when they were nonprofits, may have had fines, but to my knowledge, the library district libraries have not had fines.
Okay, wow. So one of the other things that I tell people is they say, well, how do you fund the library? You know, well then with no late fees. I'm glad you mentioned the customer service, because oftentimes our conversations in a library revolve around, well, I did turn that in. Oh, no, you didn't. And they're trying to, it's like a haggling conversation about a 10-cent late fee. And it's going to take us 10 minutes to try to iron this out. He said, she said. That's not good customer service. We end up nobody wins in that situation. So without this late fee, we can move past that conversation and hopefully go ahead and help folks with something a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah, there was I remember many years ago, had my two kids with me at the time, which were really small, and I've got this stack of books. And I'm going up to the desk to check out these books, and I'm told, well, I can't let you check those out because you have a 20-cent late fee. And I'm going, well, I'm sorry about that. I don't have 20 cents on me. You take a credit card for 20 cents? Nope, don't take the credit card. Like, so I have to leave all this here, and I have to go to my kids waiting for these books because of a 20-cent late fee, which I get was my fault. But there's no way we can look past that this time, and I can pay it when I come in next time. And that particular library would not budge on that 20-cent fee. So guess what happened? It wasn't just about the 20-cent fee. I never went back just because I was irritated. There's other libraries I can use. I don't need to use your library.
And as librarians, as people who push information, as people who give access to information, what is our priority?
Exactly.
You know, where do we stand on that? Is it more important for us to collect the 20 cents or for those two kids to walk away with some books? And I think you know, I haven't been in the profession long, but I feel like the tide is shifting a little bit to where it is that the priority is get the information in the people's hands, allow them to use it, allow them to access it. We'll worry about the 20 cents next time.
Exactly.
Yeah, there will be there's still some accountability. We're not eliminating accountability by any means, but you know, the importance, the priority becomes get information in the people's hands and a lot of times it's the folks that need it the most, the kids. We've got a lot of underserved population. You know, we talked about a transient population who doesn't always have access to things, so we're providing that to everybody. So
exactly.
Really happy to be a part of that too. So. What's next? We'll talk about what's next. You have some pretty big projects going on. In my circle anyways, we talk about you as a master grant writer. You get a lot of large grants, a lot of big things have happened, a lot of big things are happening. So stay with us. We'll be with Corey Christians, the master grant writer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about some of the projects that he's completed, and then again what's coming up next. So stay with us here on Inside Cottonwood.
Terrifying jobs, high-flying linemen, take 3.
Josh, this is an absolutely terrifying job. Why do you do it?
It's a very demanding job, but very rewarding and exciting.
How much energy are you actually working with up there?
500,000 volts of electricity.
It's definitely not my line of work. Does anything shock you?
Yeah, distracted drivers terrify me.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Ryan Bigelow, the Library Director for the Cottonwood Public Library, and today we are joined by Corey Christians, County Librarian and also Master Grant Writer. Before we left, we talked about a little bit about some of the large grants that you've received. You've received some, you're in the works on some. Can we start with the YES calendar? That was grant funded. What is the YES calendar?
Sure. I mean, well, Master Grant Writer, that's a lot to live up to. But I like to think that our cooperative nature in this county and everybody wanting to make things work for everybody else makes it easy for us to get grants.
Mm-hmm.
And the YES calendar is a classic example of that. You start looking around at all the events happening in Yavapai County, and if you're visiting or if you're a patron and you want something to do on a Saturday, where do you go to get that information? Especially with communities kind of clustering that information in different areas. Well, the Yavapai Event Services calendar, if you go to, I'm trying to think of the URL now, yavapai.events.
There you go.
You go to yavapai.events and you can get a good look at events happening throughout the entire county. And we did get this through a Library Services and Technology Act grant, which was very good to have. The state's been a good partner on a lot of these things. But it allows you to see library events, to see community events, to see other events all happening throughout the entire county. You can limit based on geographic location and type of activity, all these different things, so you can see right where it's at. And if you're interested in being a part of that, you're a nonprofit organization, there's contact information right on the calendar, and we're happy to get you signed up.
Right, and how we're using it right now is room reservations. It's an online room reservation service, so instead of having to play phone tag with somebody for 5-6 phone calls to make a room reservation, the patron, it's customer friendly. They're able to just jump in and hey, if you want to reserve a room for a meeting space, jump on the calendar, get that thing going. So we're loving it so far.
Great.
So other grants, K-12 librarian?
Yes, this is one of the great things about being county librarian and having an extremely supportive board of supervisors is that we can think outside of the box on a lot of things. We can try a lot of new things and see what happens. The YES calendar is an example of that. The thing we did this last year is we recognize that there's a big problem with school libraries. And to a certain degree, it's not even a problem of their own creation. It's just a severe lack of funding and shifting priorities because expectations of schools continue to evolve year after year. And they don't have enough money to do everything everybody wants to do, so they start looking at ways to cut money. The libraries have been, over the last 20 years, not just here, throughout the entire country, places where they have sought to make those cuts. So there's no longer in many school libraries professional librarians working there. They're aides or they're paraprofessionals. They're doing it part-time, they're volunteers. And there's high turnover, so they don't have a lot of training or understanding on how libraries actually work. So we asked for and received a grant to get a county school librarian, a county K-12 librarian. Susie Roth fills that role. And she has been going around to all the school districts, all the school libraries, at least as many as she can, not quite all of them, in helping them with how to run their library, how to do weeding, how to do collection development, what digital literacy is. She's actually taught classes of students about digital literacy, which is really great. And we're so happy to have been selected for that program. To my knowledge, we're one of the only public library districts in the country to be doing something like this. So it's a great way to get that partnership between the schools and the public libraries, the county, and making sure that they can get the services they need, because they sure don't have the funding oftentimes to do it themselves.
Right, and locally here this affects us because Mingus Union High School is also part of the network. We're often the resource for the Mingus Union High School librarian, which is totally fine. We love being her resource, but at the same time, we've not heard as much from her because now she has somebody specifically to go to for those library professional type questions. How to work the system, how to do a lot of different things. So we still see her regularly, don't worry, we're not cutting her out of the picture, but she does have a specific resource because of this, so it's been great for us too. New online catalog, what are we doing? That's one of the main sticking points for some of our patrons anyways, is I don't know how to navigate this, there's too many things going on. What are we going to do to try to help them navigate the online catalog?
Well, call me crazy, but I think when you go on to the catalog and you do a search for something, that you should actually get
that is crazy. That is crazy, Corey.
At the top of those search results.
Yeah.
So our catalog right now is not great at that. The one thing it's really had going for it is that it's been a cost-effective catalog. But I think once we added the mobile app, that a couple of years ago, that piece was no longer true. It basically doubled, almost tripled the cost of the product. So we went out to RFP, and with the help of the library network and under the leadership of Valerie Burns, the network manager, have selected a new online catalog. So this is again an example of our collaboration. All the libraries across all library types all work together on evaluating this product. So we know, good or bad, we're all to blame for that. Hopefully it's good.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
As this is the best thing ever, which is what we're shooting for. But we did select a new catalog by Bywater Solutions. We just have the ink on the agreement as of yesterday. So this is really breaking news for the catalog. And so far, our initial talks about implementation look like it might be around mid-October that we get that complete, but we don't have a firm date on it yet. So this is going to be a much more customer-friendly catalog using better search conventions, better search algorithms. So if you do a search for Harry Potter, the movies aren't going to be at the very bottom of the list because they came out first, or the books aren't going to be at the very bottom of the list because they came out first, because right now it's auto-sorted by pub date, so you may have to, publication date, so you may have to scroll through a lot of things to get to what you're actually looking for.
So I know a lot of our patrons are going to be super excited about this. The gentleman behind the camera is going to be super excited about this. He's a major library user, and this is a concern. It's just we're in a day and age where you're so used to being able to just type something in and it comes right up, and that the library catalog doesn't do that. It can be frustrating. So all you library users out there who are watching this, I know you're excited about this because we are excited about this.
Yes.
One final project that you've got going, it just rolled out, this broadband survey. Can you quickly kind of tell us what this big picture is for this survey and why we're doing it?
Yeah, with American Rescue Plan Act funds and hopefully with some state funds, I mean, we're talking tens of millions of dollars that different government organizations are looking at dumping in to solve the digital divide problem. And for those of you who don't know, library professionals have been wanting to solve this digital divide issue for the last 30 years. I mean, this has been one of the top issues. It's one of the reasons we have computers in our libraries for people to be able to use them. And this is looking to solve that problem. We want to try to get high-speed broadband to every residence in Yavapai County.
It's a big goal.
Exactly. And I think it's achievable given the funding and the fact that Stan Goligoski, Tim Carter with Yavapai County Schools have done this already for all the schools and libraries. They did it 2 years ago with the big grant they got. So we're hoping to leverage that work and make it so that we can get additional connections out to actual residences. How that happens, that's
to
what
be determined. But that's what the survey is for, right? It's kind of to try to get some data, try to understand where the gaps are, what's happening, how this is working, so we can be smart about some solutions. Happy that the library is at the table there. That we're a part of that solution. That is something that we've been working on for what you say a long time now, and we're going to be a part of that solution. So a lot of exciting things happening, not only at the Cottonwood Public Library, but all your libraries in the Yavapai County network. Corey Christians, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for educating us on some of the great things and some of the great programs that we've got going. We're super excited to be a part of this network, and grateful that we're a part of the network and able to work with you. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And this has been Inside Cottonwood. I'm Ryan Bigelow, the Library Director at the Cottonwood Public Library. Thanks for joining us.